Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks a lot for giving so much love to my channel called EdCouch. So here I am with another session and a very interesting one. Hope you will like it. And if you like, then share and subscribe to this channel. If you really feel it is helpful, a little bit helpful for you as a beginner or maybe as a professional, then kindly share this with your friends, whoever really needs it, whoever doesn't know about my channel, kindly share with them. So let's pick our today's topic. So today's topic is software testing. Before we jump into software testing, I have already, told you a little bit of description, what is testing, and all these things in my previous session. If you still didn't watch my previous session, then please go and watch. And this session will basically type of testing and process, how we are applying and all those things. There are a lot of type of testing. When it comes to type of testing, there are a lot, but I will only cover few important one today, like black box testing, white box testing, unit testing, integration testing, user acceptance testing. So all other type of testing we will cover in my upcoming sessions because they are also quite important. So in this session we will cover only those whatever I told just now. And okay, so let's jump into the session. Then I will show you my screen, record and all. Then we will again talk. Hi everyone. So as I told you in my previous session, we will talk more about the software testing, type of testing, and what is the uses and process of testing. So let's talk about what is software testing. I have already covered that in my previous session, but I just wrote one line that it's a process of finding defects in order to check the quality of a newly built product or application. So you are finding defects or finding more information in that particular application in order to check whether your expected result is meeting your actual result. That's all. So then next talk about manual testing. So manual testing is something like as a tester you are executing a set of test cases manually. Here you are not using any automation tool, nothing, no coding knowledge is required. So you are just testing it manually to ensure if the product is error free, whether your actual result is meeting your expected behavior, whatever you receive from your user. So this is called your manual testing. Next, talk about a type of software testing. So let me tell you before I start this topic, these are not only the type of testing. There are a lot of software testing types apart from whatever you are seeing on my screen. I will only talk about this important type of testing in this topic. Rest all the other type of testing we will talk more about them in my upcoming sessions. So the type of testing what you are seeing here is like black box testing, white box testing, unit testing, system testing, integration testing, and acceptance testing, which is also known as UAT, user acceptance testing. So let's talk about more on this type of testing and what is the uses of those type of testing, how you will do that. So the first one is your black box testing. Black box testing is something that as a tester you do not require any type of coding knowledge. Without having any coding knowledge, you can still perform this testing. You don't need to see the internal code, and as a tester you only evaluate the performance and behavior of that particular software, product, or application as a end user's point of view. So you do not have a visibility for the internal code. You only have the visibility for the input and output, where you are checking whether your output or your actual result is meeting your expected behavior. That's all. So here you do not require any coding knowledge. Next one is white box testing. Unlike black box, here you require the coding knowledge. That's the reason usually I already highlighted, this is not part of manual testing, because the developer usually perform this white box testing or automation because you require the coding knowledge to evaluate the security and functionality of the product in more detail. So usually
since it required the internal code knowledge behind the software, so usually manual tester doesn't perform this type of testing. I mentioned this in order to segregate and you can understand easily what is the major difference between the black box and the white box testing.
Okay, so guys, you know the difference now, right? Black box testing and white box testing. Black box testing is something like you do not require any kind of coding requirement or coding knowledge. You don't need to see the internal code, but white box testing is something that a developer usually test. A manual tester doesn't involve in white box testing, but I told you just to differentiate between black box and white box. Next.
So the next is unit testing. So as the name suggests, unit testing meaning you are testing the small unit of that particular application or individual unit of that particular application. So let's say I'll give you a very easy example. Like in your requirement document, let's say you do have 100 requirements. Okay, so when you evaluate and go through all the requirement, maybe from that requirement you create 200 scenario, and from that 200 scenario you are creating 2000 test cases maybe. But as part of unit testing, you do not require to go through each and every test case. This is just to evaluate the performance of the individual unit of the application to confirm whether the function is working as expected or not. So usually this unit testing is being performed by the developer once the product or application is developed and ready for test. There are very rare chances that a dedicated testing team is there for this unit testing. Otherwise, usually the developer itself does this, or maybe sometimes peer using this by white box testing technique. So this is your unit testing where you are evaluating the performance of the individual means you are testing individual unit of that particular application. That's all. So the next one is the integration testing. So as the name suggests, you can see the name is integration, meaning you are integrating, individual part of that particular application. That is a process of testing where your all the individual software modules are combined and tested as a group. This is to evaluate how the application behaves when two or more components are combined. So after unit testing, when you do this, it's like a aggressive testing of unit testing, because here you are combining different unit and testing it as a whole in order to check whether different combination is working fine or not. So this test is how they interact with one another when you combine different set of units. So how they combine, how they interact with one another, how they work to complete a workflow, and everything is been tested. So this test is carried out in two model. Okay, so as a complete package or as an increment to the earlier package, meaning how it was behaving when we tested it as a unit testing, and how the same combination, same part of the application is behaving when we combined and doing it as a integration testing, when we integrated the modules. So it occurs, usually this testing occurs after the unit testing and before the system testing. So this is our integration testing. So next is the system testing. So system testing is something like, the entire software testing is conducted as a whole, means on a complete integrated system or module. So, this system testing, here you are testing a software from all possible dimensions, and for all intended purpose of the platform, meaning you are testing a product as a whole. So how it is behaving as a system, as a whole. So evaluating software's performance from end to end. And your once all unit and integration testing has been completed. So this is the third stage of testing where you are already done with your integration and also your unit testing. So after unit and integration, only your system testing starts. So yeah, this is system testing.
So as you know, this SIT, you might have heard about a term called SIT. So what do you mean by SIT? SIT is nothing but system integration testing. So what happens is, usually in a testing phase, this is quite an important testing which is performed by all the organizations once a development is done. So here we perform a system and integration testing, and actually we are testing as a whole in order to check whether the particular requirement of that particular application is as expected or not. So basically this SIT is something like, it's very important to understand. If you have any kind of questions regarding this SIT, so then please comment below. I will share them. So the core idea of this society is to test the different component of that particular system to ensure the interaction between those components, and also to check whether they are as expected when they integrated as a whole. And this SIT usually doesn't involve unit testing separate integration. No, this SIT actually it believes in testing a product as a system, not as a unit based. Because the goal of this testing is basically that to ensure if there is any defect, leakage, or any kind of error while we combine different unit into a core module. Okay, now let's jump into user acceptance testing, which is the last one for this session.
The last one was for this session. What I'm talking about is the acceptance testing, which is also known as your UAT, user acceptance testing. So here the process is like to conduct or to determine if the original design and functionality requirement of a specification are met, and you are testing as a user's perspective, how the user wants, how the expectation from the user, and how the system is behaving. And this is often performed right before the deployment of the product, just before you deploy it to the market, deploy it on live. Before that, you are doing a acceptance testing. If the product is failed here, the entire system or entire testing needs to be redone, and your production has to be cancelled. So this is a very crucial and important part of your testing phase. So this testing is carried out in order to get the customer sign off. So you are getting the customer sign off only after this UAT is finished. Like you call it as a finished product once the testing is done. So a pass in this stage also ensure that the customer has accepted the product. If it's a fail, it means they have rejected and you need to redo everything. So yeah, this is your user acceptance testing.
Okay, as I said, user acceptance is the last step of this testing phase. So before that, we do the SIT. So that's why SIT is a very important one, because this will help you to reduce as many bugs as you can. After that, it proceeds with only user acceptance testing, which is either a pass or a fail. If a product is a fail, then you need to redo all the testing once again, and it will also kill a lot of time, effort, and energy. But if a user acceptance testing is a pass from user, then you can happily go with the production. So that's all, guys, for today's session. I hope you really like the session. If you can, if I'm able to make you understand at least in an easy way, I will be so happy. Or if I miss something, or if you really want to know anything else, you can just comment below. I will try to cover it in my next session, or if possible, I will try to answer that in the comment section itself. And next session, we will cover one more topic. If you really want me to cover something important topic for you, then please comment below. I will try to cover it in my upcoming sessions. Till then, try to explore a new skill, guys. Bye.